issue that affects the way we breathe, life as well as adapt to environments. Climate change has been around since the early 19th century during the ice ages and other natural changes that caused problems later on in the years. In 1896, the Swedish scientist Svante Arrhenius detected changes within the levels of carbon dioxide as well as the temperature. In 1938 is when the first many scientists out there was able to put pieces together. His name is Guy Callender, who made connections between the carbon dioxide levels and Earth's atmosphere, and later he figured out that this was global warming. You see, global warming has always existed and scientists tried to find solutions, but we all know that finding out a lifetime solution for something that can be enhanced of our atmosphere can take decades. The thing about global warming is that it not only changes our environment, but it also affects all living things out there, such as plants, humans, as well as animals. I think we sometimes forget that when the sun is out shining really bright and it's cold outside, that is climate change. Leaves falling off trees has to do with climate changing, especially during fall. We think this because sometimes a disaster can interfere with food sources for ourselves as well as living things such as polar bears. If you notice, our polar bears are getting skinnier by the day, which we can all see is a problem. Our polar bears are this close to becoming extinct, all because they don't receive enough fish from the ocean, who are, by the way, dying because the temperature changes affect the ocean too.
What precisely is climate change? Climate change is the great change in the average weather patterns that occurs all around the planet. In Earth, local, regional, and global locations, the climate is different from what it should regularly be. This has been an ongoing thing for many years now. Climate change is something that has become inevitable as the years come and go. It is our doing that is initially and generally causing it to manifest itself into a much bigger problem. This even gets wildlife that lives near both poles involved in our doing as human manufacturing industries run. Now, here is some thoughts from a nearby interviewer. What are your views on global warming?
I think global warming is a real thing. Like it's something that it's happening. And sad to say, but we as humans, we are causing it.
Okay. And do you think global warming has a great impact on the planet?
Oh yeah, of course. Yes, of course. You know, it's funny you should ask that. Not so long ago, I was watching this documentary about how the ice is melting at a very fast pace. Um, and I strongly believe it's because of the situation that is global warming.
Okay, and what do you think can be done to reduce the rising rates on global warming?
Um, Maybe I think we have a good idea as far as heading in the right direction, like using uh or purchasing electrical vehicles instead of like gasoline. I think that right there itself could be a major thing that we can do as humans to help just cut back. I think there's a lot of things to be done, but from the top of my head, I think that's one of the first things we can start off with.
Okay, and thank you for your time.
Your views on global warming?
I mean, I obviously think it's happening because the Antarctica and the ice caps are melting and breaking off. I say that global warming affects us all in many different ways. It just really depends on how we adapt to that change. As far as plants go, global warming slash climate change can weaken plants, it can poison them, or change the way that it tastes. Animals are mostly affected by this globally problem because majority of our animals live in different habitats that aren't similar to how we live. Considering that this problem can change the temperature, it can also create heat that dries up sources of water, which then makes it harder for animals to find something to drink. As far as humans go, I feel as though global warming changes the way that we eat and the way that our bodies produce hypothermia as well as hyperthermia. Sometimes we don't realize that the change in temperature actually affects us the most, which is because our bodies are so used to the temperature changing. And question number 2 is, what are people doing today to help ensure that we are making a change? I feel as though people aren't doing anything. I say this because we're going through a pandemic right now, and a lot of times something that's important as well as something else that's also important tends to override it. So scientists have been so focused on finding a cure for COVID that they haven't looked at the big picture. So I say look at the big picture because now our polar bears are becoming extinct. And that's sad to say because they live all the way in Antarctica. And you figure it's cold over there. But because the climate and temperature keeps changing, it affects them. So since scientists are really focusing on COVID instead of global warming, it's taking a long time for them to give us answers and for them to find out why global warming still exists.